Hey, I'm David Arquette, WCW champion. You're listening to the Potsy and Tino show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Pots and Pans Network brings you its tag team champions of the world. That's right. It's the Road Dogg Tino Gray, the badass Rob Potsy Potchak, collectively known as the Potsy and Tino Show. Our theme song, as always, is brought to you by Adam's House Cats, called The Wrestling Song. It's available on iTunes for the low, low price of 99 Jones. Tino, what's been going 605 Jones? So what's been going on with you, sir?
Not a whole lot, man. I can't really complain. I've been shit, I lost my where did my screen go? I see you. Oh, there's I God, let's see. Not a whole lot. I did Hickory this past weekend. Came back and my car didn't blow up on me, so I'm happy about that. And got to got to work from home today, which was cool. What else is going on? The concert last week was fucking awesome. I got videos I got to show you. I got to send you. She the new lead singer is phenomenal. And what else happened? And that's about it. I got to catch up on. We found out about some shows that that are disappearing now, and got to chill for Mother's Day, and not a whole lot. It's just been real chill this week. Not anything really exciting going on.
Well, with me, we had my family decided to do like Mother's Day dinner Friday night because we like going to this place called Akashi, and they're not open on Sundays. So
So what is Akashi and where is it?
it's a sushi and like hibachi place, but
Where is
instead of going to like a Konki where they cook it right in front of you, like it costs like half the price because they don't cook it right in front of you. So my family all just loves that place. So it's one of those places that we go anytime we want to get together for different meals or whatever.
Well, the Conky, that was a cheap date for Nicole and I when we were dating. So that'd be that's dinner and a show. And
Yeah, it totally makes sense in that situation. But this way, like it's down by where my mom lives, so we can go down there and get some really good Japanese steak and food. So
no, I like places like that. That's why I asked you where it was.
yeah, it's basically right at the corner of like 54 and 55 in Durham. So almost by where we used to hang out at with Arnie's. Remember? Arnie's? Yeah, it's a little bit further up. Like if you know where the Hardee's is over by there, or where it was, because I don't think the Hardee's is there anymore.
Is it past the 40? Because there's this past the where you get off on 40.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But anyways, so we took her there for Mother's Day. So yesterday for Mother's Day, I guess my sister and her husband Shane went to go have beverages with my mom, and my mom was like, I was surprised you weren't with them, and I was like, well, I didn't get a phone call, so so I guess I wasn't invited. And she's like, oh well, if I would have known, I would have invited. I'm like, it's okay. I needed to catch up and watch Backlash anyway because I didn't get to watch it on Saturday night. So, but anyway, so today was the last day that people had the ability to go into their comic book shop and order Dread Mutt before it comes out in June. So we're hoping to see some decent unit sales on that book. I last week I told you that we've already started work on a new book coming out from a creative team, myself and someone else that we've worked on a project before, in time for Christmas. Can't really talk about it just yet, but news of that'll come out soon enough. So we'll take care of that when that happens. Otherwise, yeah, it's been pretty tame over on this side too. I did go see the movie Fight or Flight with Josh Hartnett last night, and that was better than expected. I wasn't expecting much. I knew it was supposed to be an action film like Bullet Train, except on a plane,
Hmm.
and it was. But it had a little bit more plot than what what I was anticipating, and the action was a lot of fun. So I actually I did enjoy it quite a bit.
I hadn't
Um,
heard of that one yet. So
yeah, I'd already seen Sinners, I'd already seen Thunderbolts. We didn't I don't even think we talked about Thunderbolts between the two of us. Like
you had a rant about it.
I did.
Yeah, remember you were like talking about about the how they were ruined it 3 days later.
Oh yeah. I did you just put up a Captain America shield?
Idiot.
Yes, I did hate that Marvel decided to spoil the asterisk 3 days after the movie launch. I thought that was, like I get told by people like you and family members and Facebook group members and all this other stuff. Don't ever spoil the movies. Don't say anything about them. Keep your opinion for at least a week, kind of thing. And I'd been doing that, and then of course Marvel, ruined like the biggest spoiler of the entire movie 3 days after the movie launch.
Oh
So
shit.
yeah, yeah.
Michael
Uh,
Turner had a question for you, and I don't know what that means. What's Mad Monster?
so Mad Monster. So just like a lot of the different conventions out there, Mad Monster is a horror convention out in Charlotte. And what's he
Mhm.
asking? I have a quick question. Are you going to Mad Monster this year? No. Michael, most likely not. I don't think I've got any conventions planned for August, but I've reached out to them in the past, and they basically just sit there and say, "Yeah, you're not big enough to be one of our guests," so they don't offer
Oh,
free tables or whatever. So I have not committed to that right now. My convention schedule between now and let's say November is going to be the horror convention here, Carolina Fear Fest at the 23rd through the 25th of this month. Then next month I'll be in Charlotte for Heroes Con, June 20th through 23rd. Then July I'll be in San Diego for San Diego Comic Con. Um, and then September I'm doing the Brothers Boyd show. And that's just a small show. And then November right now, I believe I'm scheduled for NC Comic Con. So that right now is my convention schedule that I am aware of. I keep telling people if they know any convention runners or anything else, let them know that I'm interested in doing shows. And basically, just the table and the hotel is typically all I need covered if it's outside of like an hour and a half from here. So anyways, Tino, yes, we we basically have started getting the list of TV shows that are not going to be around. But
you
first, I
pissed
want I
off
want to
about
ask you.
something.
First, I want to ask you: have you been keeping up with The Last of Us?
No, I got too much shit to watch. I'm gonna have to binge watch it. Every time I say I'm gonna sit down and binge watch it, something comes up. So no.
Yeah. So
Long story short.
it's following the video game pretty accurately. Um, and this week's episode had at least one piece where it kind of like they added to the elements from the video game. You know how like sometimes they'll run a story longer, or they'll go, okay, we're going to tell something from the past. And
So so like the first season was not the first game. I think I asked you this. So is this season the second
second
game?
game, yeah,
So Abby's coming or gonna be there soon?
she's already there,
Okay, cool. That yes, well, I need to start watching it.
and it follows the video game pretty religiously.
I think you
Uh,
did tell me one difference when they found Joel and Tommy, who found them.
yeah. They changed it to the Dina character rather than Tommy, and I think it was so that they could actually give Tommy a more heroic moment than holding Ellie back from Joel getting, for lack of a better term, Glenned from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, Negan.
What's that?
They Negan'd him.
Yeah, yeah. Abby Negan'd him pretty good.
Mhm.
And speaking of Negan, Walking Dead, Dead City, I think is what it's called. Like the first season of that already finished. They're doing a second season of it right now. I
Mm.
haven't watched it because I don't typically watch AMC for anything, but at some point I might. So because I really like Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So and as that Negan character, he's great. I saw a post the other day that said if Marvel movies wanted to make like a accurate version of White Nick Fury, that he should play it, and I was like, oh, that'd be awesome. Could you imagine him as the cigar chomping Nick
Oh my
Fury?
God. Oh,
It'd be
that,
great. So a bunch of the shows that I watch, look like they're not getting renewed for another season. So Found, I was a little bit shocked to see that was one of
I
the
was
shows.
too.
Well, yeah, I was pretty shocked to see that one was being canceled after season 2. Um, The Irrational, I was really shocked that it's getting canceled.
I told you they're canceling. I told you Equalizer, which they were in the middle. That well, they were finishing up this season. They were like, nope, you getting canceled. So they had to make
Condense it.
this. Yeah, so they made the season finale, the series finale. I mean, they wrapped it up well in a nice little bow. I was happy to see that.
Well,
I caught it.
that show may still get a sequel series out of it with the
Yeah,
Titus Welliver character,
we'll
which
see.
I find funny because I was watching Bosch Legacy, and they canceled Bosch Legacy with season 3, but then they gave Maggie Q her own show from the 2 episodes she was in for Bosch Legacy.
Yeah,
So it's possible that even Harry Bosch shows up on that show rather than being on his own show at this point. Um, Suits LA was canceled, and I was a little shocked to see that too, because they had put a lot of effort into trying to get that show to be popular, whether or not it was well written.
well, kind of glad because then maybe that'll open up old boy so he can come at the heels.
So interestingly enough, I read an article that said that CM Punk was
Oh,
actually like on the at the Netflix presser. He was there, and he was actually really trying to talk to people about heels and about getting it picked back up. And like the funny thing about TV series now is that if you only get 10 episodes to do a season, you can work on multiple shows in a year. So you can be on 2 different programs. But yes, I agree with you. I would love to see them finally, tie up the loose ends with heels and come back for that. So far, like on the renewal front, I was really shocked to see that NBC renewed The Hunting Party, the one about the FBI agents that are trying to take down the world's weirdest serial killers that all got loose at one point after everyone thought
that's,
they were dead to begin with.
I still haven't watched that.
It's all right. I was shocked to see how short the first season was. It was like 10 episodes, and I was like, for an NBC show, that's and Brilliant Minds also got picked up. So the one that had Zachary Quinto
Mm.
in it, that got picked up. So that one shocked me because I would have thought that The Irrational would have had the same audience.
Yeah.
So you pick up one, but you don't pick up the other. Like, seemed a little weird. I also
Well,
find it a little bit weird that none of those shows got picked up by USA, and none of them just got told that, hey, we'll give you another season, but it'll be streaming on Peacock only.
yeah. And Watson, did you say you think it got picked up?
Watson has been picked up for another season.
I just
So far,
watched the final. I watched the
I haven't,
finale. It was good.
yeah, I haven't watched the finale yet, but I kind of just saw a little bit of what happened. I haven't heard anything about Tracker, and Tracker is a show that I've been following pretty well. Like weekly, I keep up with it.
I'm
So I'd
two. I
like to
think
see.
2 episodes behind. I think that we just watched the one where the model girl, the pregnant girl, was kidnapped. So I think I'm two behind.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was a fun episode because there were like so many different little things happening in it where it's like, oh, the really rich boyfriend from New York comes
Yeah.
into town. Oh, he probably did it. Nope, wasn't him. Oh, it's probably the one that was working with her that said that they were the best friend. She's not her
Nope.
best friend. What? Like, and it just like it was just one thing, then another thing that then finally you finally figure out who it is, and it's like, well, that makes sense.
It was good. It was good.
So yeah, I like that. So Poker
Matthew's trying
Face
to.
came back.
Yes, and I've already watched all 3 episodes that are on there. You know that's my show. I binge watched that one.
I always laugh whenever I see her because like Natasha Lyonne is like the least attractive woman I think I've ever seen in my life, and yet she is hilarious in the show. You know,
I
like
feel like it's just like a Columbo kind of character almost. Just so funny. She just like falls into stuff.
every episode, it's like so I really like the dynamic of like she's just starting the episode by sitting there like at a little what used to be like the little photo booths, you know, and
Yeah.
and she's just sitting there talking to the guy. So how's the book you're reading? You know, and all of a sudden like bang bang bang, just gunshots, and she has to run from the mob again. You know?
Or when she's sitting on the beach, I don't know if she's talking to, and she's like talking to a kid.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah, I
thought
do like
that.
that stuff.
So the whole idea and concept of that show is just mind boggling. How like every week she happens into a new town, and when she's there, like she just always happens to come up and be part of a murder investigation. You know, and then you got Wolowitz from
Yeah,
Bang Theory, and he's the FBI agent.
and then John Mulaney was an FBI agent too. That was funny.
It's amazing at how many guest stars that show ends up with.
Big names too, dude.
Giancarlo Esposito and Katie
He's
Holmes are one
always a
episode.
bad guy. He's always a bad guy, dude.
Yeah, I just finished watching
Mature
the show.
kind.
So I just finished watching the show Leverage. It used to be on TNT, and then it became like part of Prime. And
Mhm.
and now they have a series called Leverage Redemption, which has most of the same actors and actresses in it, but like Timothy Hutton's character apparently, because he has sexual assault allegations out on him, they didn't ask him to return for the series, and they brought in Noah Wiley to basically take his role, or at least a role in the show instead. Um, but like Giancarlo Esposito was in an episode of that, and he was a bad guy, you know.
Always a bad guy. Always.
But you could tell that when he was on that it was like before he really had his like Breaking Bad explosion onto the scene, you know, because like that's when apparently he became like they want him in everything, you know. Um, but yeah,
He
it's
was
just
bad guys in movies before that, though.
well, I mean, he's always a bad guy. I don't think I've ever seen him play the good guy. Even
Just
in
like
even in the Far Cry video game, he played the bad guy.
just like Machete. I don't think I've ever seen him be a good guy either.
Danny Trejo. There's been times where he's been like a cop, but you know, and I mean, he was like on Sons of Anarchy as a bad guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You're probably
Matthew
right.
Matthew's trying to get me to watch. He keeps and I keep meaning to, and I put it on my to watch on Prime. Watch Reacher.
Oh, Reacher's excellent, man.
Yeah,
Well,
he's like
Reacher season 1 is excellent. Reacher season 3 is excellent. Reacher season 2 is trash.
I think he's on 2. So I want to go back and watch it. I'm like, eh.
Season 2 to me felt like it was written by AI. It's like every episode he says the same thing over and over again. Neely, did I ever tell you how much that blah blah blah? And she's like, yes, Reacher, all the time. And then every episode he says the same thing, and she's like, yes, Reacher, all the time. And it's like that's just bad writing, you know. Now, granted, as someone who writes, I can say that and feel like fully informed with my opinion there. But just about everybody that I've talked to that really liked the first season of it feels the same way about season 2.
But you're like writing comics. Is it? You know what I'm saying? So is it? You see what I'm saying? Is it the same
So,
comics?
so the way that you write a comic book script is very similar to how you write a movie script.
Hmm.
You have to write the scene. You have to set the.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so,
No, it's a good question. Of course, the way that you said it almost sounded a little pretentious. But I mean, yeah, like so it's funny because for me, watching how comic books, like, nobody ever wanted to make them into movies until you got to the Spider-Mans and the Batman
Yeah,
Begins.
why is that?
Well, one, it's because, I mean, you got to think, like back in the day, what would the special effects budgets need to be to make some of that stuff real?
So I was showing Matthew because I was growing up. Yeah, I'm older. So like in late 70s, they had the Spider-Man series,
God, it
and
was
I was
terrible.
and I was showing Matthew, right? So I'm like, these were special back then. That was like state of the art. That was cool. But
So,
so would it look like
did you
that?
know that Spider-Man series only lasted 13 episodes?
It seemed like it lasted longer. I
Now
remember
that
watching it every
so
Tuesday.
the reason why it felt like it lasted longer was because the Incredible Hulk was on for like 5 seasons.
That was my show too.
And at least that one, when you saw Lou Ferrigno as the Hulk, it was like, okay, that's the Hulk, you know.
That's
Um,
why when they came up with the newer movies and they were doing the CGI Hulk, you could get a fucking bodybuilder. Why? It just looked. I didn't like it.
well, I mean, like I felt like the Ang Lee version felt rough, but then by the time they did the Ed Norton movie and then all the Avengers films, I felt like they had figured out what his CG character is going to look like, you know. Like
Well,
I'm really interested to see how good the Thing looks in the Fantastic Four movie, you know,
I mean, you've
because
seen the previews.
I have, but you've only seen like 10 seconds of him, you know, and he's just standing there. You're not seeing him hit anybody. You're not seeing him do any of that.
Oh, that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
So, like, but with ILM being owned by Marvel or, well, Disney, like, they get the best, the best in studio house to sit there and do their special effects.
Mhm.
So I mean, like, I expect it to look good. Um, I forgot what I was going to say other than that. So do you have Apple TV Plus? Have you watched The Studio with Seth Rogen?
No,
So
what is it?
he's literally a movie studio head having to make movies, right? So he's going around to the sets, and there's all types of like surprise guest stars. Like the first episode had Charlize Theron in it, had Martin Scorsese in it, had all these big name people in it, right?
Hmm.
Uh, and when he becomes the studio head at the beginning of episode 1 of the show, because it comes down to him and like his best friend, and one of them is going to get the job, and the other one's basically going to be like their right hand man. And so the studio head basically says, I want to know if you're the guy, right? And he's like, of course I'm the guy. Why wouldn't I be the guy? Like, and he goes, like, but all along through the episode, Seth Rogen's character's talking about how he wants to make classy films and he wants to make like art movies, and like what an A24 studio does. He wants to do all that kind of stuff. And the studio, the guy who like owns the studio and wants to put him in charge is like, well, I'm willing to put you in charge, but you got to make this one movie that I just brokered the deal. So you got to make this movie. And he's like, well, of course. What movie is it? And he's like Kool-Aid. He wants to make a Kool-Aid Man movie. He's like, just think about it, man. Like all the different colors of Kool-Aid, you could make like an entire like Marvel Cinematic Universe out of Kool-Aid and blah blah blah. And of course, Seth Rogen, who wants the job, just sits there and goes, well, yeah, of course I want to make that movie. It's and I mean, like, so he talks Scorsese into changing the name of a movie he wanted to do about like one of those cult followings, and he tells, like, he's talking him into actually making it as Kool-Aid, so it's like they drink the Kool-Aid as the that kind of thing, and the whole thing goes crazy. But then there's an episode in it where they go back to the whole Kool-Aid thing. Like they've been bouncing back and forth with all the different, like, this is what this guy actually deals with on a regular basis. And they go back to the Kool-Aid idea where they're showing the casting for it. And they're like, oh, we got Ice Cube to play Kool-Aid Man. And everybody's like, oh, that's going to be great. He's like perfect for the Kool-Aid Man, right? And then they're like, okay, who do we have for his wife? Oh, we've got like Angela Bassett as his wife, and Mrs. Kool-Aid, right? And then they hire like an African American kid to play the son of Kool-Aid, and then they start talking about all the live action characters, and it's like Josh Duhamel, Charlize Theron, and it's like, and all of a sudden, like, one of the people's like, this cast is amazing. This cast is oh, and he's like, what do you mean uh-oh? Like what? And she's like, okay, maybe you don't see it, and that's okay then. Maybe I'm just like jumping the gun. And then all of a sudden, like, the second in command sits there, and he's like, yeah, I don't know what you're. Oh no! And it turns out that, like, it all becomes about like how all the CG characters are going to be played by black actors, and all the live action characters are going to be played by white actors. So then they start talking about how they have to change all that. And finally, like, the young producer that's in the office with them going through this whole thing, she sits there and she goes, wait. Are you guys trying to say that this is going to be like a racist movie because Kool-Aid is a black person's drink? And they're like, yeah, that's where the problem is. So we have to fix like the casting and everything else. And she goes, but Kool-Aid's not a black person drink; it's a poor person drink. And the whole thing goes crazy. Like, they finally end up having a conversation with Ice Cube, and Ice Cube sitting there. He's like, man, it's even more racist that you guys thought it was racist.
Damn.
So the show to me feels like and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but because all the characters are just crazy, but yet it really does feel like exactly what a movie studio executive's life would feel like. So it's pretty funny. There's episodes that I get annoyed when I'm watching just because it just feels annoying, but then there's other moments where it's like, yeah, I bet that really is how that works. Finally, last thing I'll talk about when it comes to stuff that I've been watching, I'm watching a show called My Friends and Neighbors on Apple as well. It's got John Hamm in it, and he basically plays like a stock trader that loses his job, and after he loses his job, he starts robbing all of his neighbors' houses. It's very clever the way that it's done. Like, so it was created by the same people that did Banshee back in the day. So although it's not an action series like Banshee was like an over the top action series with the guy that plays Homelander. And this is like, it's exactly what you expect from like a John Hamm, So anyways, that's pretty much everything I've been watching. And the studio, actually, I just got renewed for another season, so that one will be back on Apple next year as well. Tino, we've got some sad news, so if you want to get your clock ready for this, we lost the suicidal, homicidal, and genocidal extreme legend Sabu.
Did they figure out why?
I
don't think it ever said what happened.
No, I haven't heard anything. It sounds like it was natural causes based on what everybody's been saying. Even Sami Zayn was saying that he was trying to get, like, he was really lobbying for them to put him in the Hall of Fame this year because I guess his health had been pretty bad. Just a couple weeks ago, he was at a convention and Rob Van Dam took a picture of them together with a bunch of the other wrestlers that were at the convention. And, he said sometimes you just don't know when someone's not doing well, and it's pretty sad to hear. When you think of Sabu, are there any moments in his career that you watched that you sit there and go, this changed things in wrestling?
I think just his whole style. I mean, this dude broke his neck doing a flip out the ring to it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he gave Chris Benoit the nickname the Crippler.
Crippler, yeah. I mean, it's just
before TV, before everybody on TV gave him the nickname Murderer. Sorry, I had to. Anyways, when it comes to Sabu though, like were there any specific moments that you remember?
Just his time with RVD. I thought all those matches were fucking phenomenal, and him and then Fonzie, and it's just I don't know if there's one I can pinpoint. There, yeah, that I mean, it's just lights go out and he's in the middle of the ring pointing up, dude. It's and people lose their minds. It's just what he would do to his body. I mean, he did not care. He would do the put the chair by the ropes that just like Briscoe does. He put the chair by the do the flip the chair to the outside of the ring.
You
Um,
can't think of ECW without thinking of Sabu in some way,
no,
shape, or form.
no,
Uh, I do make the joke that one of the things that he's most known for was the reason why Rob Van Dam lost his world title. Like when they restarted ECW and Rob Van Dam was the WWE champion and the ECW champion, and they ended up getting pulled over in a car together because they were smoking weed.
smoking that devil's lettuce.
Which the devil's lettuce, which is not on the banned substance list for WWE anymore, because it's legal in so many states. WWE doesn't look for that anymore. So it's crazy to think that back in 2006, I mean, we're talking almost 20 years ago, it's the reason why Vince McMahon had to strip the world title off of somebody because he couldn't have his world champion being pulled over for substance abuse.
Mm.
But when I think of Sabu in the ring, I like you said, putting the chair down and using it to jump over the top rope out to the. I mean, it has like him, Rob Van Dam. I mean, the entire ECW cast of misfits. When you think about them, I mean, they changed how wrestling is done, and I
Ignore him.
why are we?
Ignore him. Ignore him. He's being stupid.
Mr.
Ignore him.
Helios. But I mean, like it is sad to hear he was 60 years old. Apparently he just had his final match just a couple months ago. But in these times, we always give that 10 seconds of silence. So are you ready? I'll let you take it.
Yep. All right, here we go. That's it.
10 seconds sometimes feels really short, and then other times it just feels like it's forever.
Yep.
But maybe at some point, obviously we've got two ECW originals in the WWE Hall of Fame with Rob Van Dam and Paul Heyman. Maybe at some point they look past like the things like the weed smoking when it comes to Sabu, and they look at the what he did in the industry to really give him his flowers, even if it's posthumously.
Is it? Is it? What's my name? Papa Shango. Isn't he in the damn Hall of Fame? That's a
Yeah,
weed smoking bitch. He smokes weed.
he does. He does.
Godfather. And is RBD in the Hall of Fame? That motherfucker high as hell too.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Triple H handles that stuff. Like both of them were put in there by Vince. So, it's funny because it's one of those things where you look at Vince and you think, well, he's I don't want this in my company, and yet you put those guys in the Hall of
Well,
Fame.
I think Godfather. I think he might have. He was good. Don't get me wrong, but I think because him and the Undertaker. I think the Undertaker might have had the in
The
Vince's
stroke.
ear on that one too. Yeah.
No, I agree with you. And yeah, his influence in there definitely has something to do with that. Hey,
Because Michelle McCool just got in, so
well, yeah, but that was a Triple H thing, and I don't
I'm
have a
sure.
problem with Michelle McCool going in. I just think that there were other people that should have gone in before her, like
Yes.
Victoria, or I don't think Miss Jacqueline's in there. You know, like I would put her in there. I- you know, like to me, it feels like before people like Victoria get into the WWE Hall of Fame, Stacy Keibler is going to be in there. You know, and part of me doesn't think that's right. I also, instead of having the Undertaker do the presentation for her, I would have had Layla L do it, and Layla was in the audience that night, so it's not like she couldn't have done it for her.
Yeah, but again,
I would have rather looked at her too.
that's you.
Um, so one of the releases this week apparently is on NBC's schedule for next year.
What?
So
Everything on the menu.
Braun
Go ahead.
Strowman has a food show coming to NBC Universal,
Oh,
and it's going to be under the name Braun Strowman, which means I don't think we're going to see him signing with like an AEW anytime soon. And you may have actually read, and I know I did, that they said down the road the plan is to bring Braun Strowman back and use him for special attraction type things, where I guess maybe he has like a Legends deal with them, and then when they bring him back, he gets a performer contract for like 6 months. Because apparently, like his salary was astronomical compared to everybody else that got released.
why the fuck let him go then?
Well, because now they don't have to pay him 12 months out of the year. They don't have to pay him when they use
Okay.
them. The look on your face right there is just great.
It's just stupid. I mean, he's going to this show. He's keeping Braun Strowman, which we know he doesn't own it. WWE owns it, which means that leads me to believe he's not really fired. Or you know what I'm saying? They're like you said that they think they're never going to bring him back.
Yeah, it is kind of odd to me. So, um, so when we start talking about pro wrestling, should we go over the Backlash result? Like, I don't really think there was anything that I need to talk about from Raw or SmackDown this week.
No, no,
We
because it
can
was
talk.
building the
We can talk about
backlash.
NXT if you want to.
I don't think of anything what happened on NXT.
Because I
They
know
had the
when I start talking about
oh
AEW, I know when I start talking about AEW, I'm going to go on a serious rant tonight.
I do the surprise of the night from NXT, that battle royal.
Okay, we can talk about it.
Miles Bourne. Who saw that coming?
Who?
Miles Bourne from the No Quarter Catch crew, the deaf one, the Here
Oh yeah,
Imperium.
yeah.
He won that battle royal. He's the number one contender now to go against Obafemi for that belt. Who
Well,
saw that coming?
we know we can go in the ring.
But everybody was looking at Trent, right? And everybody was looking at maybe like Siobhan Evans. I mean, I'm cool with Miles. I think that's a perfect. They're calling him Randy Orton Jr. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, they're saying that when we get to the only thing on SmackDown is where they had the fake Randy Orton come out. That was Miles Bourne.
Was it?
Yes.
Well,
So
now we don't have to talk about that.
yes, that was Miles Bourne. I read that. So, but yeah, dude, he it was funny. They even kind of poked fun at him. It was kind of I didn't want to laugh, but it was funny because Miles said it himself. Because Charlie, when they went out, Charlie was like, "Yeah, so I'll be facing Oba because you won it for the thing." And Miles was like, "I know I got a hearing problem, but did you just say?"
I love the fact that he has fun with that because
Yes,
it's not the first time he said that or something like
yeah.
that. You know, he
But it was
does it every week. It seems when they're talking about it, when they're talking to him. Anything else happen on NXT? I didn't get to watch it this week.
I think that was the big thing that came out of it. That
So and specifically when we talk about NXT, we know that their women's division is stacked. I mean, it is more stacked than either. And I hate saying stacked in this situation because you just think about breasts when you do, and we're talking about the women's division, but the NXT women's roster is more pronounced than SmackDown and Raw. Although we did get an Alexa Bliss return on SmackDown as well, and apparently there was a joke online that said if you want to get more people watching SmackDown, put Zelina Vega and Alexa Bliss together as a tag team. So maybe that's how they get that 18 to 35 demographic watching more TV. I don't know.
One more thing did come out of it.
Okay.
For the first time ever, I think on the whatever pay-per-views coming up, is it Battleground?
Maybe, yeah.
The TNA championship will be defended when he defends it against
Trick Williams.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I mean, it's very possible now with all the stuff that they've been doing with this TNA partnership that I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Trick Williams take their title. I just, like, does that help TNA or does it help NXT in that situation? I don't know. But it's I don't know. It'll be interesting, and obviously, like, it's meant to really put more eyes on the TNA product, and TNA is just as hot as it's ever been at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bunch of the NXT crew that got released, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them end up in TNA, getting a TNA contract and still showing up on NXT from time to time. In fact, that might be, they might have tried to imply that to some of the people because, the NXT contracts, when they give them the release, it's a 30-day no compete, whereas main roster, it's 90 days. So that'll be interesting.
And Jordan Grace is the #1 contender.
Yes, I did hear that.
I'm wondering now that Miles Bourne is if he's the one that takes that up for Oma and they go ahead and call Oba up.
I mean, it's possible. Like,
and I wouldn't be mad at it because he can go.
Well, and it's a feel good story too.
He can go in the ring. He's got it. He's got it. He's got that look. He's got he's got it.
Yeah.
Miles Bourne would be the one. I wouldn't be mad at it.
So since there's not really a lot that I want to talk about from the main roster stuff, I decided, Tino, that I was going to sit here and talk about Dynamite this week.
I think, I fell asleep on it. So, yeah.
Which is funny because it had a great main event. Samoa Joe versus Claudio Castagnoli.
I think I did wake up for that. Everything's, I don't remember, and everything's mushed together.
Here's where so I've got some issues with it, but before I really jump into my issues, I do want to go ahead and run down the program. So the whole thing started with the Hangman and Ospreay in the ring with each other, and then Don Callis comes out with the Callis family, and we get Ospreay basically saying we'll take on any two members of the Don Callis family, and I guess they either did it on Collision or they're doing it this week on AEW.
Before we get too deep in that, I do want to go back into that Hangman promo before Ospreay came out. He was kind of explaining away, not explaining away, but explaining the mini heel run that he had, right? And how he came back. He even addressed Swerve where he said, I can't forgive you what you did, but I have to move past you. So I think that's kind of maybe, I don't know if they're ending that or they're kind of maybe pushing it back a little bit so he can continue on this face run. But Ospreay coming out and the way he approached Hangman with, where were you? I did all the meet and greets. I did all this. It was me. It wasn't you. It was me. Is Ospreay teasing a heel, or I was kind of confused on what that
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that when they have their match, which will be the first time they've ever been in the ring together at the same time against each other, which is pretty interesting considering how often they worked around each other in New Japan. I think it's to get people to want Hangman to go against Moxley. because right now I got to tell you, like, do I buy Joe as a they're doing the exact same thing with Joe that they did with Edge to go against Mox, right? Where they build him up, build him up, build him up, and then he's just going to get served up to him on a plate, you know? Uh, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of Moxley being the champion in AEW, and I think we've both said that at this point because the story doesn't make sense. How can he sit there and say he's going to end everything that you see, and yet he's the one ending it? You know, like he's the boring factor in AEW right now. How can you not have the championship shown on TV? At least with John Cena as the champion, he wears it backwards, which I'm totally fine with. If Moxley didn't want to show the championship, I have a perfectly good example of what they could have done instead. They could have actually sat there and had him turn it inside out and worn just the black strap and have the metal actually touching his belly. You know, that would do the same thing as putting it in a Halliburton case or whatever, but at least when he was defending it, they would have to show it, you know? But going back to the Hangman Ospreay thing, obviously this is to set up who's going to face the champion at All In. And I'm fine with it. I don't think that they're going to turn Ospreay heel. I think they'd have a very hard time turning Ospreay heel right now. You know, like they tried to have him start as a heel when he came in, when he joined the Don Callis family upon entry, you know, and what was that, like 3 weeks and he was out?
I think it was longer than that, but yeah.
I mean, everything in AEW feels like it's 3 weeks and done. So the only thing that doesn't right now is going to be the MJF situation. But yeah, I guess I'm excited to see this match because I know it's going to be a banger. You know?
Yeah, I'm thinking there's something you had said.
Oh, I'm
trying
getting
to go back to the text.
Well, we'll get to it. But I'm going in order. We had this eliminators match, which, by the way, I hate these things. Oh, we're gonna put Toni Storm, the women's world champion, in a match against people, and if she loses that match, then she then has to defend the title. Why not just defend the fucking title?
Because I think they're trying to
because they don't know how to build a storyline.
But they're trying to buy time until she meets with Monet, because Monet apparently just lost one of her belts. But here's my thing with that. If you keep running through the women's division, you're making them look weak. So at the time it is for them to go against either Storm or Monet for the championship, it's going to be hard to believe.
I completely agree. If you have eliminator matches against people every week and you beat all of your competitors, then nobody ever gets a title shot. But the eliminators match in and of itself is stupid. Like why are you getting to face the champion in the first place if you're not even eligible to be the champion?
No, but if you win the match, that's what they're saying. That you
get
get a shot.
But why not just have where you say, okay, we're going to have a number one contenders match, and you go Thunder Rosa, Penelope Ford, and Anna Jay, and you have Toni Storm outside the ring doing commentary.
It's the same thing WWE does when they put somebody against a champion, and if you beat the champion, you get a shot at the championship. They're just doing it. They're just not calling it that. It's the same thing.
But you know, and I know
that's
that
and again,
I know that you typically sit there and tell me that I don't mind it when the other company does it. But that's not true. I say the same thing about WWE when they do this.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do. And you know what? I can even say it about SmackDown this week. I could say it about SmackDown because Fraxium beat the Street Profits. And guess what? All of a sudden, the commentators started talking about how now they should deserve a title match. No. Run through the entire division first. The problem is that they did run through the entire division already because there's really only 5 teams.
But if you beat the champion, you should get a chance at the championship.
But why are you facing the champion to start with? Like, if you're not worthy of a championship match and there's no story that builds to that, because at least when it came to the Street Profits and Fraxium sat there and said, we've already beaten all the other competitors, and we were the longest reigning NXT champions. We feel like we deserve a shot. And the Street Profits said, oh, no, fam, that's not true. But you know what? You want to prove it? You can have a match. That's a story.
And that's exactly what happened Friday. So why do you have a problem with it?
So that's what they did Friday. But this match right here that's on the screen, they just said, we're going to have this match. There was no story involved with it. There was no reason why these other three should be in a match against Toni Storm. And why is it an eliminator match with 3 other women?
That part I agree with you. But what I'm saying they have done in the past with WWE, where they're going to put somebody, a main eventer, and they're going to put them against the title, and they say if you win, you get a shot at the title. And there's
So-
sometimes there's no story behind it, but they just do it. And again, they did in WWE. It's okay, but they
No,
do it
it's not
here.
okay. I don't like
You don't
even
bitch.
that.
You don't bitch about it as loudly as when they
Well,
like
hey,
the next thing. I
that's
found it.
That's
I
partly
found the text.
because. Go ahead.
No, I found the text. So when we get to it, I'm gonna get you on that one too.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they did it the same way.
I'm
The
going to go
same
off
way.
on
They did it the same thing with one of your favorite dudes. They did the same thing with him. You were fine when they did it with that white ball bastard, but they do it with Swerve Strickland. You got a problem with it. We're gonna get to it. Nope. But okay. And he didn't hurt them.
when he did that. When he did that out of the ring power bomb to that kid, I thought he broke his back.
That's the same thing. Kevin Owens has been doing.
Yeah, but the way that this kid sold it, it was like a Dolph Ziggler sell.
Nah.
And we still got Bobby Lashley saying no.
I know he said no. He said I'll tell you next week.
Right.
He didn't say no. He said I'll give you your answer next week.
We got. It was in Detroit, so bringing out a Detroit legend like Rhino, totally get it, totally okay. Wasn't like on Collision when they had Ricochet steal Zach Gowen's leg,
which is going to have Zach Gowen come out and wrestle in AEW. So I guess he's all elite now.
No, I think it's a one-time only gig, but I find it really funny that it's like a week and a half after WWE used a prosthetic leg in a match.
Yeah.
Rhino loses this match, and he didn't even get to do a gore. Like, the thing that you pay to see Rhino for, he didn't even get to do it.
But here's the thing. Nick Wayne is 98 pounds. If Rhino would have gored him, there'd have been no way they could have sold him beating Rhino. He would have had to sell that gore.
But he could have done it to Kip Sabian.
All right, I'll give you that.
All right, here we go.
You motherfucker. Go ahead. Say what you got to say.
So I'm looking at these new signings in AEW. Okay, you got Kevin Knight, you got Josh Alexander, and you got Speedball Mike Bailey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Speedball Mike Bailey, they gave like 2 quick wins to when he first showed up. Since then, he's had 1 tie and 4 losses.
Okay, I'm with you there. I agree with you there.
3 of those losses in consecutive weeks have been to the Young Bucks. They brought him in as something that is supposed to be special.
Mm-hmm.
And they have immediately thrown him into losing every week to the Young Bucks.
I agree. It's a waste.
Like, if I were him, and by the way, it's not just him, because it's also people like Ospreay, where they're in those 8-man matches, and suddenly they lose those 8-man matches. And it's like, Ospreay is like your bread and butter right now. He's your top. He's your top worker.
Is Ospreay getting pinned, or is he on the team that's losing? I don't think Ospreay's taking the pin.
You're right. You're right. But even here, who took the pin this week, Tino?
Was it Ricochet?
Swerve Strickland.
Okay, yeah.
The guy that just faced John Moxley for the world championship eats the pin to a tag team specialist. Not even the singles wrestler that's in the match.
Say what you said, so I can now say what you said. I'm reading it. Say what you said.
What did I
You
say?
said why is Swerve being fed to the Bucks, and then I said, and then you said why is Swerve being fed to the Bucks, and why does Speedball sign with AEW if he just loses every week? And I said, you don't know about Speedball, but Swerve is the hero against the authority. Because right now the elite, the young Bucks and all their authority figures, they're they're the McMahons. And this is where I have a problem with you. They're the McMahons, right?
Okay.
I said they have to keep him down so he can come back. WWE does it all the time, and you don't have a problem with it, right? And I said, heaven forbid AEW does it, right? So you got the Young Bucks, who are the authority figures, right, against the anti-authority figure, which is Swerve. Hmm.
And you asked what I
It
said.
sounds, and it
I
sounds
said
like
it's the Bucks holding down better talent.
no. I'm saying what you said before. What I read, you said why Swerve, and I'm explaining it to you. When Stone Cold Steve Austin was against the authority, and they kept holding him down every week for him to overcome it because he's the hero to finally get his comeuppance. You were good with it, but they're trying to do the same thing with Swerve. He's
I
the
don't think so.
he is trying to. They did that when the Bucks came back. They came back and fucking with Swerve. Swerve's going to get them in the end. It's probably going to take longer. The storyline's probably going to take longer because they don't have the writing like the WWE, but it's the same thing. And again, when they did it in WWE, oh, this is great. AEW does it because it's not your baby. It's not WWE. It's a
Hold
fucking
on.
problem.
Hold on. No. My problem is with the Young Bucks as talent. Okay. Like literally since returning, they haven't lost a match. On top of not losing a match, like even their and I know that it's the attitude that they're supposed to be giving because they're the heels, but like there was 2 weeks ago there was a pinning predicament where I think Matthew Jackson was pinning. It was probably Briscoe. I don't even know. But he sat there and he said, "Damn, that looked amazing." And it's like you're supposed to let the commentary team sit there and say that. Like, how do you even know what your move looked like? Because you're in the ring doing the move. It just seemed like an ass, like a super asshole thing. And I know that that's their characters, and that's okay. The Swerve thing, here's where I have the problem with it. When you talk about Austin might have been held back, but Austin always got the one up by the end of the episode. That's why we would watch it. And it wasn't just one segment, it was throughout the episode. There'd always be multiple things that Austin would do to then get the comeuppance. He might not win the match, like when he faced off against both Kane and The Undertaker, and he lost that match, but everybody still got a stunner. The referee probably got a stunner, and he sent everybody home happy with the beer drinking.
Here's the
With
thing
Swerve,
now, right? And that's then we've already talked about they don't have the continuity even in the WWE to do that anymore. If AEW had that, and now they're trying to push so many people and trying to fit out so much in 2 hours, they don't have time to do that, right?
well, that's part of the problem though, is they do have time to do it. They do have time to sit there and actually try to make Swerve seem like that hero, right? But they didn't make him seem like the hero. They just held him back. He lost the match. He left the ring. He went back home. Like he didn't sit there and go outside the ring, grab a chair, and start hitting everybody like Austin would have. He didn't do any of that stuff. And I really was talking more about the fact of Speedball Mike Bailey in this
Oh
whole
yeah,
thing.
they're fucking him over. I don't even know why he came. He could have kept his ass at
Well,
AEW.
it's
I'm not AEW TNA.
but it's not even him. It's so Kevin Knight. How many matches has he lost since he got there? Like 5.
I
He
think he's
he
lost five.
lost. He,
I think
he
he's lost five.
but he
I
lost.
don't.
Well, he's been tag teaming with Speedball, so he's lost both of those matches. Then he faced Okada and he lost to him in an eliminator match because suddenly Kevin Knight, who hasn't won a match in a while, is going up against Okada, and if he beats him, he gets a title match, even though he hasn't won.
How did he lose?
I
Who
don't
came
remember.
down? Somebody came down. He got cheated. Okada didn't win fair. So I mean, he
Okay.
still. And here's the thing though.
Josh Alexander lost his first AEW match.
That was fucked up too. And
like,
you're gonna
hey,
sign that.
we're going to
And
sign you for big money, and
you're gonna
guess
sign
what?
that big name, and you're gonna lose the first match in.
And
Yeah, that was.
you're gonna get jobbed. And not
Oh,
only
I
did
agree with you on stuff like that, but I'm like, it's not. It's
it's
like
all three of those guys.
everything they do, you have a problem with.
It was all three of those guys. They've all come in the past 2 months, and they've all been eating pins. And it's okay to not have someone with a perfect record, because like when Ospreay came in, it was like, shit, when's Ospreay going to finally lose? Oh, Bryan Danielson, when's he going to finally lose? Which is fine. I get all that. You don't want everybody to have perfect records because you have to get past that first loss at some point. I mean, hell,
Mhm.
one of the things that we complained about with Gunther was the fact that he never lost, right? So when he finally did eat a loss, it really did mean something. With these guys, they're eating the loss in the first 2-3 weeks that they're there, and not only losing, but they're losing in like ridiculously dumb fashion.
I don't remember how. I think his first match was a good match.
Who, Alexander?
Yeah, he just
It
lost.
was. I mean, it was against Hangman, but
Yeah,
why have him as the wild card in this tournament if he's not going to make it to the second or third round?
they're not gonna let him beat Hangman. I
Well,
don't even know why. I don't even know
that's
why they
part of
did
the
that.
problem. Like
But
the way that you get
I think that's
around
the problem. I
the
think
way
that's
that
the
you get
problem that
around
I have
Hangman
with.
in that situation is you have an injury angle or something where someone beats him down. You start a story where all of a sudden it's like, who did that to Hangman? But
I
then
just have a
Alexander
whole.
gets the win.
That's my problem with not only AEW with WWE when they put these matches out. I can't suspend my disbelief if I already know there ain't no way in fucking hell he's gonna win that match, right? So why? Why?
Well, that's been my problem with AEW booking for a long time. And you and I talk about this on the regular when I sit there and I say, hey, Athena versus Mercedes Moné was the perfect time to give Mercedes her first loss.
Hmm.
It actually makes Athena, who hasn't lost a match by pinfall in over 2 years, look even better. And Mercedes doesn't lose anything by losing that match to her because her title wasn't on the line, right? So that's the perfect.
Wasn't that the semifinal for the
No, it was like the second round.
okay.
But there you go. See, that's my point. Now you're going to have Mercedes versus Jamie Hayter, and even though Jamie Hayter is a former AEW Women's World Champion who never got a rematch to get her title
So
back after
that's what I'm
injury,
that's what I'm kind of hoping they do is let her win.
I don't think they are. Like it's gotten to that point. Like the John Moxley story. I'm always sitting there going, God, I just wish he'd lose. But I guess in some way they're trying to do the same thing that they did with Roman Reigns in WWE, where the 1,300-day title reign, you're sitting there every month going, God, I wish he'd lose. And he never loses. He wins every match in the exact same fashion, with people always coming down and like wrecking shop so that he gets a 1-2-3. Same thing that John Moxley's doing, except at this point, I'm so tired of that kind of booking that I want something different.
Yeah, yeah, that's one thing that they do tend to recycle a lot
Well,
of WWE.
recycling storylines is fine. Like this ended.
But
So I will say
it's
this,
like plagiarism though. So sometimes it's like it's
like
like
the prosthetic leg,
yeah, yeah,
like
obviously.
that fan gave him a prosthetic leg. Let's hire the guy who wrestled with one. I mean, we're talking about a guy that was in the ring with Roddy Piper when he was still alive. That's how long ago Zach Gowen was
That was
like
20 years ago.
yeah. But I mean, like that's how long ago it was for his relevance. He hasn't been relevant in wrestling since then. So all of a sudden I'm supposed to care about Zach Gowen because Ricochet stole his leg?
I think it's going to lead to something.
Samoa Joe.
And that was that Gowan. I think I don't know who's going to come out, but I think it's going to lead to another feud for Ricochet.
No, I hope so. I mean, Ricochet's do it like when Ricochet first showed up in AEW. I really thought that they were booking him incorrectly. When he bought into this heel turn, he's been money. Hell, the fact that everybody slaps him on his bald head
That's
trips me out every time I see it.
that's
And
hilarious.
he
I love that.
oversells it, which makes it even better. You know, like he oversells that every single week. So I love it. But so here's more booking issue for me. Claudio Castagnoli was a staple on WWE television for how many years?
Ever.
Even right before he finally left, he finally got that one-on-one match for the world title. Now, granted, it was during Roman Reigns' 1,400-day title reign, so he wasn't going to win. But he finally got the main event of a PLE, right? This is like the biggest match that he's had in AEW, and he's been Ring of Honor World Champion.
Hmm.
And you knew he wasn't going to win. Because if Claudio's going to beat Samoa Joe, why does Samoa Joe get to go up against Jon Moxley? So you know he's going to lose. And then they make him look super weak. Now, granted, I know it's Joe. I know Joe puts people to sleep. You know, it's always night-night when it comes to Samoa Joe. But, like, Claudio looked like his bitch. And that's tough to say because you know how much of a badass Claudio Castagnoli is in real life.
So why do you say he made him look like a bitch?
I mean, he didn't look like he ever had a chance to win the match. And since he's been in AEW, he's literally been Jon Moxley's bitch. I hate it for him. Like, he's got to be thinking, yeah, okay, when I got here, they gave me that Ring of Honor tin belt that they've got. But I mean, otherwise, like, he was better off in WWE. And hell, if he
No, because he's still part of that stable. He's still, you know what I'm saying? He's still a main event. He's still,
Wheeler Yuta's part of that stable.
that's what I'm saying though. He's still, I don't think he'd be on TV every week if he was still with WWE. At least he's on TV.
I don't know. He was a workhorse in WWE, so I mean, he probably would be a mid-level champion or whatever. But anytime you needed someone to step up to the main event level, like with Triple H booking, he knows how good he is.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, specifically when you think about the people that left for AEW that have now come back to WWE, every single one of them has been a champion.
Yeah.
The only two that haven't so far are Aleister Black and Rusev. And I would probably say that before too long, Rusev will be like United States champion or Intercontinental champion. And Aleister Black will probably be going after some major title. You know, and they've been prominently featured on TV. So a guy like Cesaro, if they were to bring him back, especially with all the international stuff they do now, he'd be a top guy.
When he go back now, and they can't keep bringing people back. Right now, they fucking fired 30 people.
Well, isn't it always funny that so there's a couple things when it comes to WWE here. And I want to talk about this in a minute, but before I do that, it's always funny to me at some of the crazy booking decisions that happen right around release time in WWE. Okay, and here's what I mean by it. You have 17 talents that all lost their jobs, right? Now they're still being paid for a certain amount of time, whatever. And all of them are going to be in a better situation when they leave, except for maybe Cora Jade and Braun Strowman. Because all of the other ones, like Shayna Baszler, is going to be a top talent somewhere. In fact, I'd love to see Shayna Baszler show up in New Japan and suddenly just run roughshod over that because she's got like a what was his name? Brody.
Brody, no, Brody, Bruiser Brody.
Bruiser Brody. She's got a Bruiser Brody feel to her that if she goes over to, or a Stan Hansen feel to her that if she goes
Ooh.
over to New Japan, she would be a badass over there, like, because she's a legit badass, and they love that strong style stuff over there. So I can't see any of those people not being in a better situation after this release. I've already talked about that. But here's where the booking situations to me make me laugh. You release 17 talents, and yet Pat McAfee gets a PLE match.
That's true too. So remember I said they released Cora Jade and Sky Blue's coming back this week. They're saying that maybe they are the same person. No, I'm joking.
No, we definitely know they're not the same person now. One of them has enhancements.
Oh, did you see the promo for Sky Blue
No.
coming back? Okay. I'm gonna need you to look that up on YouTube, sir.
I did see that Elena Black, who was Cora Jade in WWE, June 6th launches her OnlyFans page.
Oh God, she's going down the road of Mandy Rose.
I mean, well, AEW lets people have OnlyFans pages. Hell, Nyla Rose has an OnlyFans page. Yeah. But anyway, but the whole booking situation where I'm supposed to really buy into a Gunther versus Pat McAfee match when you just released Braun Strowman. Like that's where I have some issue with some of this stuff. I felt like it was really bad timing to let Pat McAfee have a match. I do want to talk about this.
To make room for the AEW women's belt. She can't have all belts.
It was starting to weigh her down. She couldn't actually walk out there. I'm more worried that she's going to injure herself carrying 4 belts. So.
No.
All right. Was there anything on Collision that we need to talk about? I didn't watch it. It was on a new night. It was on Thursday this week, so
because they didn't want to go against Backlash.
Yeah, even though they claim that it's because of the NBA playoffs. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Backlash results.
That's what I was pulling up. I pulled up the Bleacher Report, and I was surprised because I even texted you. I'm like, did the 4-way start? The 4-way started it, and I had my map book, so I pretty much got to watch it before I had to go on my show. So I got to watch it Saturday Night Live.
So we got a WWE signing appearance here.
Dude, I was not expecting that. Because Friday night he kind of said all my soldiers are injured, right? So I'm like, the fuck that mean, right? The fuck that mean? I was kind of hoping it was Zilla. I was hoping it was Zilla.
You know what? I'm totally fine with it being Jeff Cobb. That guy is a monster. And he's a monster on the Jacob Fatu level, by the way.
I want to see him. I want to see Jeff Cobb go against Bronson Reed so bad. I
don't want to see them go against each other. I want to see them become the new natural disasters.
God, I just want to see them go each other. But yeah. So what you think of this match?
I mean, it was all gas, no brakes.
Dude, so I told you, and I've said this since.
Not mean.
As Jacob came, I'm like, dude, I know when they were doing that new bloodline and Solo was supposed to be the centerpiece, but I kept saying, Jacob is the star of that group. Jacob's going to be the breakout star of that group. He's one of those, again, he's got it. He's got it.
And you want to know the best part about him? I mean, the guy's got like 7 kids, first of all, which means he's a family guy, right? But he respects the history of the sport. Like there's videos of him helping Lex Luger put his equipment into the back of a rental vehicle. Like it's stuff like that. It's stuff like that where there's too many of these people who only think about themselves. And then there's someone like him who, he's had a rough go in certain times of his life, but yet he made it. And I can't see him not being a world champion at some point.
Video still makes me laugh to this day. He still marks out for the boogeyman. Did you see that? He was marking out for the boogeyman.
Oh, when he met him backstage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just like you're right. So yeah, he does. He has just respect for it, dude. And like this character you see on TV, and then you see some of these backstage, and they're he's out of character. You know, he just seems like he'd just be a blast to hang out with.
Yeah. There was another video where he was just like asking questions to like old timers, and it's like it's awesome, you know.
And there's one where he's just sitting there playing the piano. See that one? You see, he was playing Roman Reigns' theme on the piano.
That's funny. That's funny. Um, I do like where they're going with this storyline with Solo, because I mean, I told you
Eventually,
that I told you that like someone in catering told Solo that catering is only for wrestlers. It's gonna and I love anytime you see those videos of like Solo acting up during like a house show or whatever. Like when he's still sitting there trying to put up the one finger while Cody's giving him a power bomb through a table, like he's like this match was fun.
you
It was.
think it's teasing a breakup because after, we just said Jeff Cobb came out, and even Jacob Fatu was like, "What the fuck is this?" And even as he walked by him, he kind of brushed him and he kind of looked by. So I'm wondering, they're teasing that breakup.
Well, they're definitely teasing the breakup, but on top of teasing the breakup, they're basically saying that Jacob wanted to do this by himself.
Yeah,
You know, and I can't see a world where he wasn't going to win that match anyway. Although when you think about the people that are in the match against him, I mean, you're talking about two former world champions with Priest and Drew. Now and LA Knight, a two-time United States champion. So I mean, like the odds are definitely stacked against him there, but I still didn't think he was going to lose the match. So it was fun. I liked it. Next matchup was this one.
which I was surprised. And we both were well. I don't know who you picked. I picked Becky. I think you
I did
picked
not
Becky.
pick Becky. I didn't know how Lyra was going to win, but I picked Lyra. And this is what's funny about the booking decision here. Okay. Lyra winning, by the way, she's now like 2-1 against Becky Lynch in singles matches. The interesting thing about it though is that you get the feeling that this may have been Becky's decision to lose this match to her.
Yeah.
Whereas when you look at Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania, it was definitely not Charlotte's idea to lose that match. And we didn't talk about it, but I am interested to see where Charlotte goes from here, considering she said, if you guys keep booing me, then you'll never see me again. And they kept booing her.
And she went to leave, and Card said that went to. So I think Cardhill and Charlotte's next.
And I mean, we've been, although I would hold that off until SummerSlam. Like maybe you keep having it like the brush up, but they don't actually do it. Maybe Night of Champions, maybe something like that. I don't know, but it's interesting
July,
to see
August,
the booking
3
decisions.
months. They can build in 3 because SummerSlam's August, right? So yeah, 3 months.
I think it's late July this year.
I think it's like early.
Oh, I think it's August 1st and 2nd or something like that.
Yeah, it was just wrong because Haley's birthday's the 4th. I think it's right around her birthday.
So
early August.
But it really shows the investment that WWE is doing with new talent, right? Because we've now seen Jade Cargill, now stepping up to a Charlotte Flair. We've seen Tiffany Stratton beat a Charlotte Flair. We've seen Lyra Valkyria beat Becky Lynch. So we've seen the two linchpins of the women's division, and I think that having Becky lose to Lyra is meant to elevate Lyra, obviously, but it's also meant to put Becky back in line with going against Bayley when she comes back.
Yes, yeah, and I thought Bayley was coming back last night.
I think we both thought that was a strong possibility, but it didn't happen. So
yeah,
a
lot of things didn't happen. I was like, what the fuck? But we'll get to it.
How many more matches were there? There were 2, right? It was only like four matches.
There was Dom and Penta.
Oh, that's the match I didn't write down. Dom and Penta.
Penta.
It was exactly what you expect from a Dominic Mysterio match. There were some nice things that happened outside the ring.
And there's a couple things, and much as I talk shit about Dom, and Cole has said it a couple of times. In the ring, the maturation of Dom from when he started to now, that fucker's untouchable. That dude is good.
He really, I mean, obviously it's in his bloodline.
Because didn't you say he was it him that helped the Rock when the Rock who did he? No, no, no.
No, CM Punk's first match back was against him. Not Cody
The
Rhodes,
first match is back.
Randy Orton's first
Yeah,
match back was against him. And it's literally because he takes people and is able to work with them, and he's such a good heel. Like and what's crazy about that is that, like, for someone who didn't spend time in NXT or anything else, which I find it funny because they go on record as saying if Dominic Mysterio hadn't gone to the Judgment Day, he probably would have been released because they didn't want to send him down to NXT, but he wasn't, like, they weren't sure how to use him properly. Goes into the Judgment Day, suddenly he starts getting the rub from Damian Priest. He gets the rub from Finn Balor. He gets the rub from Rhea Ripley, obviously. Now with Liv Morgan. I mean, with all of the changes of the Judgment Day over the 3 years that it's been around, most groups like that don't stay together if they lose major members of the groups. So the fact that they've not only stayed together, but they've changed members and he's matured to the level that he has is fucking incredible.
I think it's time to turn him face though. I think he's been a white hot heel. People are starting to cheer him.
I think it's
I,
natural. Yeah. Like, how many people throw him chicken tenders now?
or chicken, have those bone chicken tenders when he comes down.
Uh, Gunther versus McAfee.
We both missed the call on this one.
No, I said I expected Gunther to win. I said I could see where Gunther ends up holding the hold too long and then gets disqualified after the match. But I with him saying you're not going to be able to pry my hands off of you, I assumed he was going to choke him out. But I also thought that the possibility would have been that he doesn't let go of the hold after the match is over, and he let go of that hold immediately. What I also didn't like about the end of the match, because the match itself was fine for what it was. It was a spectacle. It was never going to be a 5-star wrestling match. I bet McAfee was feeling it the next day.
Well, he tried to jump over that top rope and trip.
Yeah, well, I thought he was trying to actually land on the top rope and then jump again, and
No, he was trying to jump over it, and his foot caught that rope because he went face first. Michael Cole holding Gunther's leg down. That was funny.
I liked how Wade Barrett said that it was like in shades of Bobby Heenan, but I also thought it was funny that as soon as Gunther looked at him, he let go and fell. Like, it wasn't like I was expecting the kick off to knock him down. No, he just fell.
He's like, "Oh shit, what did I do?"
The match was fun, but what I didn't like about it was how quickly McAfee woke up.
No, it took him a minute. They had to work.
They did a little bit, but all of a sudden when Gunther like looked down at him, like, I was expecting him to still be out, and to really sell it, they probably should have had the medical team come out to check on him.
But they wouldn't have had time to do with that other part that they did at the end too, where Gunther did the whole respect thing. They had to get all that in because they still had a main event to get to, right? So they didn't have time to do all that shit with McAfee and so Gunther could show him the respect that he showed him.
Did you like the Gunther showing him respect?
Because I think Gunther, again, if they bring back Goldberg, people are gonna do the shit out of Goldberg. And if they bring back him against Gunther, I don't think it's bad for every once in a while like he'll just be like, okay, you hung with me because Pat did. Pat hung in there with him, and
I you
right,
know I part of me really wished it was a squash. but I was okay with how it happened. Like
No,
I
because they were
watched
also
the match.
throughout the match, because even Cole said, I'm gonna be biased because I want him to win. He
Just
had
finish the
to
match. Just finish the match.
he had to, he was standing up for Michael Cole, right? So if it had been a squat, right, they had to give him hope. They had to, because he's won.
Yeah,
I didn't realize he'd won so many matches. He won like 8 out of his 10 matches. He's only lost 2 matches. I mean, I
I
think I like the match. I think for what it was good. He did what he needed to do. He hung with Gunther. It wasn't him overpowering Gunther anytime. Gunther was in control of that match the whole time. But every time you thought he had it down, Pat McAfee had the fight that fight and to come back and keep bringing it to Gunther. I
it,
think it was perfectly done, and I think the respect thing was well learned.
okay.
I had no problem with it.
Okay, I can see all of that. I actually appreciate the opinion and the eye opening moment there. The it, it I mean the match was what it was. It was specifically meant to feel like a cat playing with its mouse,
hmm And
and
that's what he was doing for a little bit.
and he
And
did.
then McAfee was smacking around. And he was like, "Wait, let me get back in control here." And then he kind of eased up and started fucking with him again. And McAfee like, "No, bitch, I'm still Pat McAfee."
How how long before that match, in like weeks or months, do you think that Triple H was having that conversation with Pat about like, hey, do you want to do a match? Who do you want to do a match with? Like, how can we sell the story? Like, how long do you think it took to prepare that one? And
Well,
then to prepare him for the
what
match.
well, see, we were thinking, and it might still be because he did still get fucked up. I mean, because he's going to be out, obviously. So they probably started talking, "Hey, Matt, what kind of an angle do you want to, do you want to have an injury angle? What kind of angle do you want to do before the season starts?" So they probably started talking about that, knowing it was going to come to this. And then he probably, I wouldn't be surprised if that damn crazy bastard said Gunther. Because if you notice, right, during the whole Gunther um, Uso thing, McAfee, he's up on that table. He's eating, and Gunther would look at him, and he would just keep on eating. So I'm like, I think there were seeds being planted.
Okay. I mean,
I
I
think so.
know that
It had to have been before
I,
WrestleMania.
I know that when McAfee does anything, he goes all in, right?
hmm
And he obviously did. And like I almost wish that I'd listened to it or watched his show today, because I bet, like I could see him wearing the neck brace or whatever, like
Oh, I'm sure his chest looks like hamburger. I'm sure he ain't got to fake nothing. If he takes his shirt off,
yeah,
he ain't got to.
if I were gonna wrestle a match against Gunther, I'm not taking my shirt off. Like, it's just not happening.
Because
Um,
that was funny though. He would chop Gunther. And Gunther would come on. And McAfee would chop him 5 times. Gunther chopped him once and knocked him off his feet. That was funny to me. So,
I didn't look to see what the Bleacher Report score for this match was. Like, I
oh,
didn't. I
I can
didn't.
tell you. I got it up. I can tell you what it was.
Yeah. What was the grade for this match?
For the which match? The Gunther match.
Yeah.
It was a B plus. Nope, that was the next match. Sorry, that was the Randy. That was the Orton match. He gave it a C plus.
See, I actually think it was a B to a B plus.
Me too.
Based on knowing what to expect, and knowing what we were going to get from it.
Let me look and see what other ones got. Let's see. So the Fatal Four Way got an
Probably
A minus.
okay.
What do you think the Becky Lynch match? I'm gonna let you guess. The Becky Lynch match? What do you think that was?
B plus.
A minus.
Okay. Well, I mean, an A minus and a B plus are almost the same thing.
Domino match. Dominic and Penta.
B plus.
B plus. And I told you what McAfee. Yeah. So McAfee C plus, and then the
Main event, they gave a B plus.
yeah. So they didn't give out. I think so. The women's match together. I think it's only one got the A.
No. The four way got a minus as well.
Oh yeah.
So okay, let's talk about Cena and Orton. And I mean, we're only at an hour and a half so far, so I didn't really have
Yep.
much after this to talk about. So
I like to keep it an hour and a half. You're the one that keeps going to 2 hours. Remember when we first started out, I like an hour and a half.
Well, heck,
We
man, if
only
we
got to
started
treat
at
the
8 o'clock, we'd be done already.
yeah.
And some shows like the show with VZ, you know, obviously are going to go longer than
Yeah.
others. But anyway, so initial thoughts on this match were
You
I
missed
didn't
Travis
expect
Scott.
what.
You missed Travis Scott. The-
You know, the fact that every time they show clips from WrestleMania, they play that fucking song again
Mhm.
just annoys the piss out of me. But I will say this match, I was shocked to see how long it went. It was like a 40-minute match.
Was
And
that the match itself? Was that the entrances?
well, the entrances weren't super long, I didn't feel. Uh I mean, that was average, but no, the actual match was like almost 40 minutes. And that surprised me because obviously with Cena not being a full-time competitor anymore, like him being in a 40-minute match means that, I mean, they were even talking about how he wasn't gassed or anything, you know. So it was pretty
I mean,
impressive.
Cena stays in the gym though, so I wasn't surprised. He keeps himself in pretty good shape.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a difference between keeping yourself in shape and keeping yourself in cardio shape.
Well, I'm sure he does cardio, and I'm sure John Cena's got a ring somewhere. I mean, shit, Pat McAfee has a wrestling ring, so I'm sure Cena has a ring.
Well, yeah, and that's I think that's obvious. I think you know he probably at his own home gym he's probably got a wrestling
Hmm.
ring. You know, like we know that when The Rock was actually traveling with WWE last year, he was sitting there like every city they'd go to, he had a wrestling ring.
Hmm.
So I mean, yeah, it happens obviously. Um, it was full of shenanigans. It was it was interesting. It really is still interesting to me. Obviously, we've only seen it twice now, but it's interesting to see John Cena playing the heel wrestler, um, because it to me feels more like a role than his actual personality.
Well, think about it, dude. How long was he the good guy? You know what I'm saying? I think that's why it's weird. It's
Well,
weird.
'cause
We're
I,
20
I
some years, 25 years, or however long he was the good guy, and now all of a sudden he's doing all these hill. It doesn't look right on him. If he'd have had like, okay, if he'd have gone back and forth like a lot of guys do, it wouldn't have look. I don't think it would look this weird. But 20 some years of just good guy Cena, and now it,
to me though, it's really interesting because the story isn't super dissimilar to the John Moxley story. You know, wanting to sit there and take the title home with him and no one can ever be champion again and all this other, but it just feels like it's being done correctly.
hmm.
You know, the the John Cena not having an entrance video anymore. You know, it just says John Cena when he comes out, and it's in black and white. You know, it's like this is what you get now. You know, when he's walking down to the ring, he used to sit there and talk to Steve, the cameraman. Now he
Stu,
holds.
Stu, the camera guy. I remember that. The Stu was
Well,
famous because of John Cena.
see, I thought Stu was actually Sean Spears.
Mm-mm. Stu
You
was the
see
camera
that?
guy.
I kicked Stu. You know,
Yeah.
um, the whole. But you know he holds the towel up and he's got the championship belt on backwards and he walks down to the ring and he just walks. You know, he's not doing his whole run to the ring and slide in, nothing. He's um the beer bottle getting thrown at him on Friday night. And those aluminum bottles suck.
But it hit him in the leg. I thought it hit him in the head. It hit him in the leg. Him making the announcer every week come back in and do the announcement again.
Except you notice he doesn't do that with Alicia Taylor.
Oh yeah. I don't think yeah.
Like she even tries to get that little bit of Justin Roberts in there when she goes, John Cena, you know, like
No, but she still does that 17 can't be seen. She does that. And then he does the when they say it.
yeah, it's So the match itself, they gave like it almost felt like it was Randy Orton's retirement match because they really gave him every toy to play with. You know,
Hmm.
he did John Cena's finishing move twice. He obviously threw John Cena through the table. The Prime Energy drink moment was awesome. If you haven't watched it online multiple times, when he sits there, he goes after putting John Cena through the table with the attitude adjustment, opens up a Prime, takes a sip out of it, and he goes, and then he put the lid back on it and just put it back on the table. Um,
Our truth running down at the end.
so we knew we were going to get an R-Truth moment at some point when it came to this John Cena thing, and obviously, like, if you didn't watch the post show, then I'm assuming you probably have seen the video of what happened at the post show.
Yeah, he
Uh,
didn't mean to do it. I'm gonna
well,
go ask you.
so Cena ends up winning this match. Like I said, shenanigans happened. Hits him with the belt, low blows him. You know, hits him with the AA. 1, 2, 3. Randy Orton before that is going absolutely insane. He's RKOing everybody, a la Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, like Hurricane got one, Jamie Noble got one. Uh, you know,
Everybody.
like Jason Jordan and TJ Wilson were not allowed to be part of that because they might not have gotten up afterwards. You know, like, but Cena gets the win, and I saw something today that said that after Cena got the victory, he had a look on his face, and what I saw about it was they said that it looked like it was regret for how he won the match. Uh, and I don't know if that's really the case. Maybe it is. Maybe they are trying to say that John Cena doesn't like who he's becoming as this bad guy. Maybe it's another part of the story so that way when he finally does, you know, like I'm hoping by the end of the year of his run, he asks for redemption and you know the fans give it to him.
Yeah, that he's not gonna go out a bad guy.
I mean, you do expect him to go out on his shield, right? You expect him to do the favors on his last night. But does he do it as a good guy? Does he do it as a bad guy? Does he ask for forgiveness after that match? Like how's all that play out? Did you not see the post show?
Mm-mm.
So during the post show, Triple H is out there doing his whole thing where he's talking to the media, and John Cena walks up and just like speaks into his ear, and all of a sudden Triple H goes, well, you know, when the greatest of all time sits there and comes out and says that he wants to do media, you get up and you let him do the media. I didn't even know he was going to be here for this. So, ladies and gentlemen, 17-time world champion John Cena. John Cena sits down. John Cena goes, I haven't been nice to you guys recently. I feel like I feel like that's the wrong way to be when it comes to media. So I'll start fielding questions. And when he did that, R-Truth comes out. And R-Truth comes up and he goes, it's not your fault, John. It's not your fault that you're acting like this. You know, like these people have been bad to you, but you know, like maybe you shouldn't be so bad all the time. And Cena just like, and I don't know exactly what he said, but Cena looks at him and goes, Ron, that's disrespectful. And if you do something like that again, there's going to be repercussions. If you say one more thing, there's going to be repercussions. And he's just looking at R-Truth because R-Truth is standing up above him while he's sitting down at the table, and and Truth just goes, "But you're still my hero, John." And as soon as he does, John Cena gets up, picks him up, attitude adjusts him through the table at the press conference, and then he's like, "This interview's over," and he just gets up and walks out. And so I don't know if we're going to get an R-Truth match between him and John Cena because to me it would feel like a waste of an appearance by Cena. But I feel like that's a way that they end that whole little Jimmy thing when it came to John Cena being his childhood hero.
Mm-mm. There's gonna be a match. I didn't know he did that.
You would think that there will be a match, but I could see that just being the like, because we only have Cena for so many appearances, let's go ahead and use that as our send off between this R-Truth and John Cena storyline. Like, I could see now R-Truth being, still wearing the John Cena gear and everything, and being like he's still my hero, even though he had to do that or whatever. Or I could see them just having R-Truth basically saying, I hate John Cena and I never want to see him again, and blah blah blah.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on in the chat about TKO and Dwayne.
Turner said Rock and TKO is killing uh, um, WWE. When you said that Cena was showing regret, Barrett said, of course, it's regret. Cena doesn't want to be a bad guy. Dwayne forced him to be the bad guy. Dwayne is killing the industry. That's when Turner said Rock and TKO is killing somewhat. And Barrett said that Michael, it's not so much TKO, it's Dwayne. He has too much power for someone who does not know how to run any aspect of a multinational company. About business, sorry.
I don't so I'm going to disagree with Chris Barrett on that last part of the multinational business. I mean, Dwayne Johnson's a billionaire at this point because of the side businesses that he's been running for as long as he has. I mean, his Terramana, his Papa Tui, his
$7 production.
$7 Productions. He obviously does not, the UFL. The fact, he does know how to run these businesses. Not many of these things that he's worked on have failed, but he's a board of directors guy. I just don't like the fact that he's hijacked events, and the past 2 years, he's hijacked WrestleMania. He hijacked it last year when he thought that he was going to get him versus Roman, and the fans erupted and they didn't want it. So he gave us what we wanted by allowing us to have Cody versus Roman last year. But this year he hijacked WrestleMania by not even being there.
Mm. That's strong. If you can hijack it and you're not even in the building.
And if they wanted to really utilize it and really still have it be part of the story, because obviously we all think at this point that Triple H was not aware that The Rock was not going to be there. We've seen the T-shirts now. They had made merch for him to come back to Las Vegas. So I mean, like, if they wanted to do the tweak or whatever, they could have had The Rock's music play, him not come out, and that be the reason why Cody loses the match. Then you don't even need Travis Scott there, right? You do something like that. You're killing me. You do it like that, and then they can always play up to it where when Rock makes his McAfee appearance, he goes, did you see that? I caused, without even being there, the disruption that caused Cody Rhodes to lose the title. So they could go back to the story anytime they wanted. But no, they didn't do that, and it's one of those things where it's like you might not want to do that, because then you get the fans even more upset with the situation. Like, I know that the reason why The Rock doesn't want to appear on WWE programming as a bad guy is because it hurts his brand. He loses Instagram followers. And when you have 200 million Instagram followers, or 600 million, I don't even know how many he's got at this point. When you have that many Instagram followers and you lose 50,000 in one swoop, like your manager sits there and says, "Don't do that." So it is what it is. But I mean, most of us now, as lifelong wrestling fans, think that he's fake.
Unfortunately.
So like I said, it is what it is. I want to see if there's any other things on here that I wanted to make sure we mentioned before we got out of here tonight. Want everybody to, if you haven't done it yet, go to ringoawards.com and nominate Zor for best kids book. Dread Mutt orders were due today. Already got that out there. No, I think we're good. I think we went through the entire agenda.
All right.
Carolina Hurricanes, by the way, are up 2-0, or at least were in the second period. I think my TV turned off downstairs, though, so I can't hear it now. Tino, go ahead. Take us out, man.
You can find me on Blue Sky. You can find me on Insta SC Tino. I am on the TikTok Tino Our Great Music. You can find us on X or Potsy and Tino. Facebook is the Potsy and Tino Show. Each and every week, right here on the Pots and Pan Network, we want you to please give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, buy our shit. Thanks to Adam's House Cat for the wrestling song, which you can get on iTunes for the low price of 99 cents. 99 Jones.
99 Jones. So, all right, everybody. You can find me on all the social medias, either at Potchak, at Rob Potchak, or at Rob Potsy Potchak. It's probably the easiest way to go ahead and say all that. So yes, we want to go ahead and tell everybody in the Jones family that we love them, we miss them, and and we will be back.
Tino Jones Show.
the Jones and Jones Show.
Jones and Jones, like Johnson and Johnson, Jones and Jones.
Well, folks, we'll be back next week. We love it. We hope to see you here, and like I said, we'll be back next week with even more hilarity. So we will see. We will see you.
Cappuccino Jones. We heard from him.
No, I haven't heard from him. I'm gonna have to send another email and see what's up. At this point, we might as well try to get in touch with some of those released wrestlers.
Right. You know what would be cool? We can get Taz on here. I think you Jones.
No baby oil.
Baby oil.
Folks, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Ownership between Potsy and Tino.
For the Potsy and Tino Show.
Thanks for watching.